It's main event time. And now, I give you your incredible...
Yes! We know each other. He's a friend from work. Oh, come on.
Dancer hammers away, warriors for another day. Let the Hulk play, down at Ragnarok, down at Ragnarok. Hey, so yeah, I saw Thor Ragnarok. I'm sorry about the lateness on this video, but I'm getting around to it. A lot going on lately. This, of course, is Thor Ragnarok, the spoiler version. Let me give you some backstory on this. My experiences with Thor movies they're kind of quiet. They're kind of weak. Not in a bad way. It's just when you compare it to other heroes, there's like not much going on. For me, with the first Thor movie and the second Thor movie, it's kind of like, how can I put this? You want to see Chris Hemsworth as Thor because he's great, charismatic, but you know it's just more of a stepping stone until you get to the next Avengers movie. But this one, I actually was looking forward to Thor Ragnarok, probably because the Hulk was also in it. It went in a different direction this time. It's almost like the director actually saw Guardians of the Galaxy and decided he's going to do that with the next Thor movie, because after all, Guardians of the Galaxy made money, right? Typically, a third movie in a trilogy is the weaker of the films, but I think it actually improved it quite a bit. To avoid getting myself in trouble because I end up rambling and just giving away the plot of the movie instead of breaking it down, I'll just try to be more analytical here. We open up with Thor being chained up. At first, you actually hear him speaking, and he's looking at the camera speaking, and I was just worried because it's like, oh, here we go. We're going to have like another Ferris Bueller moment where he's just going to talk to the camera. Now, it turns out he was actually talking to a skeleton. I was relieved. In the same scene, we are shown Surtur, voiced by Clancy Brown, who I've actually met before. A very nice guy, and he's also the voice of Lex Luthor, who is even better in this film. Well, not better than Lex Luthor, let's face it. He is the best Lex Luthor. Thor defeats him, and the job they did on Surtur actually was fantastic. Surtur is not really a main villain. It's more like a rivalry. Kind of in the same sense as, yes, he's bad, but he's easily silenced. The main villain of the movie is actually Hela, played by Cate Blanchett. I had to check to make sure it was Cate Blanchett because I tend to get my Kates mixed up. Kate Winslet, Cate Blanchett, the one that's not from the Titanic. There were interesting moments where me just kind of putting too much thought into it kind of made me wonder a few things. For example, they killed off Odin, played by Anthony Hopkins, and it's done in a very anticlimactic way. Just him looking over the water and disappearing into the air. And it's almost like the same way as Yoda's death in Return of the Jedi, where he just fades off, and it's really underwhelming. Anytime someone dies in a movie, like especially the third movie, before anyone else shows up or just dies separately from everyone else, I always have to wonder if it's a production thing. Like, they knew they can only get Sir Anthony Hopkins, for like a day or two, and they had to just kind of wrap everything up around his schedule. That's just a speculation. I'm not really sure. I'm just guessing here. It really comes down to Thor and Loki seeing him pass away, and then Hela is brought into the scene. Real quick, I'm kind of sidetracking here, but I laughed when it had Loki disguised as Odin watching a play, and the play pretty much is them at the end of the second Thor movie, Loki giving his life up, and Thor swearing vengeance. In that play, Loki is played by Matt Damon, and Odin is actually played by Sam Neill from Jurassic Park. And in the play world they had going, Thor was played by Luke Hemsworth, the one that doesn't get as much work as the other two Hemsworths. But no, it was still a really funny moment. Yeah, thing I have to say about this movie is Hela shows up, she causes a lot of damage, she wears the whole headdress thing with the antlers, and I'm actually amazed by that. Usually on production, they kind of shy away from that, and maybe they wear the headpiece once. She pretty much wears it most of the time throughout the film. Good on her. Which, by the way, Kate Blanchett agreed to do the film because she knows her kids love Marvel. I respect those kind of actors, I really do. Every now and then you have to just kind of give in for the kids, or the grown man children that I am. She quickly goes in and tears up the kingdom. She manages to knock both Loki and Thor off to another planet. And she manages to kill off some of Thor's friends, like Volstagg and the other men. But for whatever reason, Sif was not in this film. So we don't know if she's alive or dead. Last time I heard of her, she was in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. I'm sorry, I really don't keep up very well in that show, so if something significant happened in that series with her in it, I want to know. Thor gets captured. He gets his hair cut by, of all people, Stan Lee. And let me just say, the way he gets his hair cut is actually more authentic than what they did with the Inhumans by just an everyday Walgreens razor. But Stan Lee actually had a real space age weapon looking trimmer. So Jeff Goldblum was a great character in the film. I'm sorry I don't have his character name in front of me. Shame on me. I'm more DC than Marvel, so. But no, he was very flamboyant, but in a funny way. We of course have Hulk. This time Hulk's not actually voiced by Lou Ferrigno. It's all 100% Marco Ruffalo. Okay, maybe 95. 95 because, of course, he's wearing a motion capture suit to be the Hulk, so, you know. The director plays Korg, and I should have known better. I should have known by the voice. He was also in Green Lantern as the quirky best friend. Hela, also another disappointing part of the film is actually Hela destroys the hammer. And as she would, because she first wielded the hammer. As Hela would destroy the hammer because she was the first one to hold the hammer. It was easy for her to destroy it. The real message of the film is Thor doesn't need his hammer to be a hero. I think that was established in the first Thor, but we have to remind the audience, because we have to upgrade our heroes for the upcoming Avengers movie, right? Valkyrie was actually pretty decent. She was a very good sloppy drunk of a warrior. You don't see that from female characters too often. Now, apparently, the big deal is her sexuality is not addressed. Apparently, she's bisexual. The movie doesn't really come out and say it, but at the same time, it leaves little hints. It shows a flashback of Hela defeating her and her other warriors, and you see her mourning over a particular blonde female warrior. And I don't know if that's just because it's a comrade that had died, or it's because someone more meaningful. It's kind of ambiguous. Of course, Loki is always entertaining, Tom Hiddleston, but we've seen him already in like 4 movies now, so it's kind of expected. Not really much of a surprise. You always know he's going to betray somehow. They go back where Hela where Hela has taken over with her guard, the Executioner, played by Carl Urban, another great actor. He kind of plays the character kind of dumb and almost spineless in a sense of he's only loyal to the one who can protect him the most. But of course, at the end, he changes his mind and ends up saving the day. There's a great appearance by Benjamin Cumberbatch, of course, Doctor Strange. And you see him for a minute, but it was already rumored that he was going to be around anyways, especially since Thor was in the post-credit scenes of the Doctor Strange movie. And the movie pretty much ends with Thor getting his eye cut out. So now he's missing an eye just like his father, Odin. Hela is defeated. They realize that there is no saving Asgard. You can only save the people. The people are Asgard. Basically, the only way to stop her is to bring back the defeated Surtur from the beginning of the movie and let him destroy Asgard. And it ends with Hela taking on Surtur, and they destroy themselves and Asgard while the people on the ship escape. Like I said, it was pretty good. It was really refreshing. It was a fun Thor movie. Again, nothing against the other Thor movies, but this one caught my attention the whole entire time. I imagine myself, if I go to rewatch it, I'm not going to be fast forwarding. I'll be watching every bit of it. There were some funny moments, funny nods when Hela goes into the trophy room and knocks over the trophies in there, one of them being the right hand of the gauntlet glove, saying it's fake, which is good. I'm glad they addressed that because, to me, far as I'm concerned, Thanos should only be wielding the left hand, the left glove. Oh, at the end, also, Loki possibly might have the Tesseract, since he did manage to get a good glance at it for a good solid moment right before cutting to the next scene. So it makes you wonder if Loki has the Tesseract used in the Avengers. Yeah, there's a mid-credit scene and a post-credit scene. The mid-credit scene, it shows everyone on the ship, and then all of a sudden they are faced against an even bigger ship. My friend who I went with says that could be Annihilus, but this far into the Avenger movie, into the Marvel Cinematic movies, I would probably say they're going to use it as a Thanos ship. Even though he doesn't need one, it just might be what they use it for. Or Annihilus would be working for Thanos. Beyond that, in the post-credit scene, you have Jeff Goldblum back on his planet, and he possibly will be eaten by some cannibals. Yeah, overall, I really enjoyed the movie, and I had a lot of fun with it. Had good music. I'm a fan, of course, of rock music, so I loved Led Zeppelin's Immigration Song. I'm going to give this movie an A. Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and give it an A. Could it have been better? Sure, of course, always. Of course, there was an absolute absence from some of the other characters like Natalie Portman and Kat Dennings, but they would not have served a purpose in this film, trust me. In fact, Jane Foster, it's just kind of one line thrown into the movie. And it's from an extra saying, sorry, Jane dumped him. She would not have been helpful one bit. But it does kind of sadden me that they would build her up so much only to abandon her in a third movie. The same way as the Transformer movies did, where they built up the Sam and Michaela relationship, and then Michaela is kicked out of the third movie for Carly. I give the movie an A, and if you agree or disagree, please tell me in the comments. Keep an eye out for my Anthonyx Maximus reviews, starting to get myself in order so I can actually put out some more of those reviews. I love doing those reviews that get to be more in depth. Have a good one.